A hearty welcome to my fellow sales and marketing peeps to Making Sales Social Live, coming to you from the Social Sales Link virtual studios. I'm Bob Woods, and joining me is the co-host of Making Sales Social Live. She's a fellow Link social selling and AI strategist, consultant, trainer, and coach. And I just ran out of breath. Brynne Tillman, how you doing, Brynne?
Good, Bob. If you are with us live, I am coming from from my basement. So welcome to a little more down to earth setting today. Literally,
Down
under
to
the earth.
earth or like below the earth, because you're in the basement. And although you can't tell, I'm actually in our basement too, although it looks pretty good from the back. So we're both underground. I don't know if that means anything or not.
Well, I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited about our conversation today because this is a topic that every social seller needs to know because, content and social selling is almost synonymous.
Yeah. Content is definitely king. And maybe with the move, you sound a little off mic right now. So if you can bring the mic closer or something like that, I'm not.
Oh, that's a problem. I don't have a mic. It's all on my computer.
Okay. We'll deal with it and we'll be just fine. I can hear you. It just doesn't sound like your usual crisp self. That's all. So, but like Brynne just said, the role of content in social media and social selling, I should say, is crucial. The same can be said, especially nowadays, just about content in sales in general. You need it. So many companies and entrepreneurs are now using content that if you're not using it, you're really doing yourself a disservice. It's important to engage potential buyers with relevant content before they recognize their need for your product or service. But then you've got to keep them informed throughout the sales process. So we're going to address first the three overall stages of the funnel: top, mid, and end of the sales cycle, and even beyond that. And then we're going to get into the types. So first of all, let's talk about top of the funnel, Brynne, and what type of content should be in for people who are either in the top of the funnel or are even prior to the top of the funnel before the salesperson even knows that these people are circling around a particular product or service.
Yeah, so that I think that from a social selling and prospecting perspective, this is something that most people get wrong. And the reason I say this is because we often will talk about what we want them to know, whether it's our products and services or success stories, when most of our prospects are not even actively looking for our solution, right? And so that's a big deal. We need to take a look at what is happening in the environment of our buyer before they ever know they need us, before they're looking for our products or services. So what's happening in their environment? For us, there are a few things. One might be they had a lot of new hires for sales. Another one could be there's turnover, or they just had sales training and they know the next step is going to be LinkedIn, or they're looking for sales training. And we will kind of piggyback on that because right now social selling and digital is such a huge piece of sales generally, but most sales trainers don't cover it. So we look at, what are the activities and the content that our buyers are consuming the stage before they'd even start to look for us. Now, the other piece of this, and I know we'll kind of jump into more detail. So, you know me, I always go ahead. So I'll try not to. But the other piece of this is that the content that we're putting out needs to lead to our solution, not with our solution.
Yep.
When the content is leading with our solution, no matter how much value you believe there is there, it is still, the perception is still that it's a pitch. When we lead to our solution, we're adding value and insights, and it's like little breadcrumbs that get them having these aha moments that lead them to say, boy, that's interesting. I want more. I want more. I want more.
Yep. Yeah. So the content should pique curiosity, encourage prospects to think differently about their current situation. Because when they start thinking differently about their current situation, in my mind at least, because it's happened to me before, my horizons expand, and I'm more willing to potentially learn about things, and I definitely feel that I move, and your goal is to move the people who are consuming the content at this stage from passive observers to more active participants in the conversation. And that's a big goal with top of the funnel, and even before top of the funnel types of content just in general that you want to do.
Yeah, and if I'm just going to kind of full circle what you're talking about, because social selling content, this isn't for all content, but social selling content needs to do 5 things. The first one is it needs to resonate with your buyer. They need, because people are scrolling by, in the very first sentence, they need to see their title. They need to see that, or their industry. They need to know it's for them. Number two, it needs to create curiosity, so that whether the curiosity is in the title of the content or it's in the first line of the content, there has to be a moment where they lean in and say, yeah, I want a little more of that, right? Then we need to teach them something new. Bob, you're talking a little bit about, like, what are we teaching them that they didn't know before? And then
Mhm.
here's the key that you said that I think is so important, is what they just learned needs to get them thinking differently about the way that they're doing things today. And that's how they move. That's how we're leading to our solution rather than with our solution. And then number 5 is it needs to create a compelling moment. We have to move them from lurker to engager, or I'm forgetting our new word that Yvonne used today, which was
Yeah,
so
I just saw it too
uh,
from
from spectator to engager.
yeah, spectator to engager.
I
Yep.
still
That's
like
a
lurker. I still like lurker to engager. Guys, for those of you that are live right now, we've got lots and lots of people. We have about 16 people live on LinkedIn right now. Tell me what you like better. Put a 1 in chat if you like lurker to engager, or a 2 in chat if you like spectator to engager. Just want
oh,
to hear what folks are
oh, we're
saying.
doing a live poll as we are live. I love that. I love that a lot. So the second thing that we're going to talk about is mid-funnel content, which focuses on reinforcing the message through social proof, like case stories, addressing common objections with targeted content. This stage also involves providing content that gives you not only a competitive edge, but it also helps buyers or champions within a company to actually promote you within the company without you having to be there, by having this content available to other people. So that because as we all know, there are at least 6.8 people involved in B2B decisions nowadays at companies. Your content actually needs to be in a form so that people can pass it on, so that other people within the company who are involved in the decision process can also be up to speed with what's going on.
So I love that. So if we, I guess in that regard, let's go into what kind of content does that.
What kind of content? I mean,
Wait,
so
or you know what? I'm in chat and I missed what you said,
oh,
honestly.
that's okay. So let's just go from that. Let's just talk about end content, and then we're going to go into the types really quick. So
Okay.
as you're wrapping up the sale, and as you're looking for future sales, as well as maybe referrals and things like that, hopefully referrals and things like that, the content should facilitate selling and addressing additional problems your product or service can solve. Because that way you can, especially if you're in a account executive type of position, getting those additional sales is always important. And as well as having that person be able to refer you to other people and actually have content there that they can pass along, so that the person within your initial the initial sale that you've made can go, oh, I know this person at X and Y company, they may be able to use your products too, because hopefully at this point they are stark raving fans of yours. So
Okay, so wait, I just want to make sure, because are we talking about middle of the funnel?
no, we've now gone to end of the funnel and
Oh, I
beyond.
missed middle of the funnel.
Brynne is so active in chat right now, and that's okay. That's
Okay, yeah, I comment to middle of the funnel because I have lots to say.
Oh, okay. Well, I tell you what, let's go into the content types, and then
Okay.
because a lot of the content types do hit middle of the funnel. In fact,
Oh, I will
let's
follow your lead. I said, and I have to say, in the green room, Bob and I are talking, and he's like, we're going to do it this way. I'm like, I'll just follow your lead. Apparently, I'm not doing a very good job. So now I mean it. I'm going to follow your lead. You go.
yeah, so a really good example of mid-funnel content is content that offers social proof or case stories. So this isn't case studies as much, although you can obviously use case studies if you want to do that. This is more about social proof or case stories. So people telling their own stories either through a case story or social proof, because you use rather real life success stories to demonstrate the value of your product or service. And that could be top of funnel stuff too, but that really resonates, I think, more when after you've already had that initial conversation and you have this, hopefully this library of some really good stories, depending on what your product does. Maybe you've got like a story for one aspect of your product, a story for another aspect of your product. And obviously everybody does different things, so it's hard to get specific with that. But that's one really good example of mid-funnel content.
So, okay. And I'm bringing this around from my brain. So the goal of top of the funnel content is to get to the conversation.
Yes.
Right. So now the mid funnel is we've had the conversation, we've done a little discovery, we know a little bit about their needs and their situation. Now it's time for a little social proof. And those case stories that you're talking about are phenomenal for social proof, right? It's you talked to me, you really liked what we had to say. Maybe we've even scheduled the next session. So the case studies or the case stories are, boy, not only was that really good advice or really good insights, but they've done this with other people like me. So I love that. The other piece of mid-funnel content is content that helps you. And I think you started to say this, I heard it kind of when I should have been listening deeper. You said about having content that helps them to tell the story of how you can solve their problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we know, and there's a new study on deep sales from LinkedIn Sales Solutions that came out, and we learned a whole ton of stuff. One of the things that we learned that in an enterprise sale, there are 7 decision makers or 7 influencers inside of that organization. It's not much higher than the 6.7 that we had probably for the last decade. So we're still kind of playing in that 7 arena. Now we're not all selling into enterprise sales, but if let's say you're selling a SaaS product, let's say it's a sales SaaS product or a marketing SaaS product, right? So you're selling into marketing or sales, who are the ultimate users. But you also need to talk with the IT department. And you probably need to talk to the finance department at one point. So if you can, so with finance, it might be, what's the ROI on this? With IT, it might be, what are your security and privacy policies, and what are your this and that around compliance, right? So making sure this middle of the funnel content talks to each of those buyers is a big deal. So because if your buyer is the head of a department that has to get buy-in from other departments, our goal with content is to help them sell internally.
Yep. Absolutely.
I'm going back on track now, Bob.
Yeah, we're back on track now. So now let's start getting into the types. So we've already done one type. Another type is, and this is top of the funnel, content before their need. So this is aimed at engaging potential buyers before they recognize a need for your product or service. So that type of content is obviously really important. That can also be, it can not only well, it's mainly used in your like posts and things like that. So you know you're going pretty broad. You could be telling a story here or something like that, but this is the type of content that moves them from
Lurker to engager.
spectator
Spectator.
spectator.
Except we got more twos than ones.
Yeah.
So, oh, it is spectator.
Yeah.
Spectator to
Yeah, two was
engager.
spectator. So we have a winner on that one too.
Well, I don't think it's a big enough
Sample size.
study.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all right. So we're kind of out of order, and I take full responsibility on this. So now we're back at top of the funnel. So top of the funnel, the job of top of the funnel is to get the first conversation. So what do we need to get a first conversation? There are a few things. The first thing is awareness that there could be a need. So this often shows up in challenges, 5 challenges, 5 issues, 5 mistakes, not 5, it could be 11, it could be 3, right? But often that's the content that will pull someone in that doesn't know they need you yet. It could be, polls are a great one, right? Because
Yep.
you can ask a question and they have 3 answers and another sharing content, and that can get you beginning in a conversation that can really have an impact on moving them, leading them to your solution. Little short videos are great on this, right? So ebooks also fabulous, but the topic really needs to be, in my opinion, around what challenges, because they need to resonate. They need to go, we have that challenge. Remember, you fix a challenge. That's 90% of what we do in any business is we fix a challenge. And I would even say almost 100%, because even if you are a travel agent, the challenge is I need a week off in a wonderful place, right? That's a challenge. So we're solving as salespeople a challenge. They don't always know that the answer or the solve to that challenge even exists. Sometimes they're not even aware of the pains of the challenge they have, because status quo is really easy to stick with. So that's the goal. The top of the funnel content truly needs to resonate in I guess in these things, right? Like, I have this challenge. Boy, this is interesting. I haven't thought of things that way. I'd really love to see that in my company. And so, yes, I think having a conversation with them is worth my time.
Yep.
So that's the top of the funnel. The middle of the funnel, yeah. So keep going.
Yeah. So, we actually nailed a couple of other content types within that conversation. So, the content that resonates with the buyer and content that teaches something new. Now, obviously, that you can develop separate pieces for each of those, or the pieces that you develop can actually hit a couple of these things, or 3 or 4 things all at once at the same time. But again, with that top of funnel or pre top of funnel, you're looking to create curiosity, resonate with the buyer, and especially teach them something new, because like I said before, when they're learning, they are expanding their horizons. So why not just keep on teaching them things that are new, so that you're leading to your solution and not with your solution.
Perfect.
So then So we've actually done several there. There are two other types that are more middle to end of the funnel: content that overcomes objections and content that gives a competitive edge. So
Those are
overcoming objections, that's actually pretty easy to develop. You can do that either just through remembering conversations or recording conversations with your prospects to hear
Mhm.
their objections, because as most salespeople know, you generally have like about 6 to 8 common objections that come across. You'll get outliers every once in a while, and that everybody's different, so that's expected. But you can either draw from your own, and this is a place where generative AI can really come in too,
Mhm.
because you can analyze feedback and objections from those past sales interaction, and the generative AI can actually help you create the content that preempts and addresses those concerns effectively. So, I mean, with all of these, you can use AI, but there are a couple of really good ways to use ChatGPT or whatever it is that you use to really get this stuff nailed down. And I think especially when it comes to objections, you can do that very well.
It's funny that you said that because we were on a call with it was a bank that was very interested in working with us, but they have a merger that's coming up. And as we were talking, I put in, so that there was like, do we wait? What are the benefits? And, I put into ChatGPT, um, only sales objection is that there's a merger and da, 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 da. And literally ChatGPT gave me amazing advice on the spot in there, that I said, well, when is the merger? Here's the date. Look, we'll include them in the package. It's a bonus that you're bringing to the table. And they went, oh, right. And so all that was like in the moment. And so it was interesting. Now, could I have come up with that? Maybe, but like it literally told me what to say. So overcoming objections. Now, how do you do this in content? So some of that might be the 5 reasons people think they don't need X,
Yep, that's
right?
a great
That
one.
could be right. That could be something. Or so I'm going to kind of give away my shallowness for a moment, but I follow this woman on YouTube who is like an Amazon expert, right? And so she comes in and she's always, she makes commission. She's an influencer. So she's in there and she's recommending things all the time. And I know she's going to make commission on it. And most of the time it's her 10 favorite things or the 5 worst things. Well, the ones that seem to do the best, at least like if I go on live and she's got a couple of thousand people listening, are all the negatives, the 5
Negative.
trends, right? The 5 trends you should 5 things you should not buy on Amazon. Now she gives alternatives and she's making um, money on the alternatives. Her name is Shay Whitney. If anyone wants to follow her, she's awesome. Anyway, um, but those tend to do really, really well. So my point is, for you guys, as you're doing this, or for us, um, the content to overcome objections is literally to say, here are the misnomer, 5 misnomers about. And
Hmm.
so before they even object, you've given them content to overcome that objection. So I love that. I do want to talk, I'll let you open it up, but I do want to talk about the content that gives you a competitive edge.
Yeah, so that's our final one, and that's what we're going to now. I mean, obviously that highlights your unique features or benefits of your offering that set you apart from competitors. The one thing I would strongly caution you against is actually trashing your competitors. I would not do that. Instead, just talk about yourself and your company and your products or services. And again, highlight those unique features or benefits without even mentioning them, because hopefully if you do it right, the competitors won't even come up in their minds.
Yeah. So the way that I tend to do this, we had a company, it was a managed service provider that I worked with quite a few years ago. And in although you pick a managed service provider based on a lot of different criteria, there are many out there to choose from. So often it even though it shouldn't be, it's a commodity choice, right?
Mhm.
So they were not the cheapest. By far, they had some of the best customer service, and they've been acquired, so obviously they did a very good job. But what we ended up doing was the quintessential checklist when choosing an MSP, when choosing a company. So we planted seeds in there. There were three features or services that this particular company had that really none of the other competitors had. So we made sure to include that in the checklist and talk about the how critical these three things are. So really, the story was whether you decide to work with us or another MSP, these are the 10 things you need to ensure that you have with your MSP. Now, there were things they didn't have that that gave other people a competitive edge, but that wasn't on the checklist, right? The only thing
Yep.
on the checklist, right, were what gave them a competitive edge, and then some basic things that everyone had. So
Yep.
ultimately, what ended up happening, which was really great, is people would use this checklist even when they were shopping. So if they were talking to him, and they said, so all right, we have two more folks to talk to. I have this checklist that you're welcome to use when you're talking to them to make sure you're asking all of the right questions. And so they would take his checklist and use that when talking to every other MSP in the area. And ultimately, there were three questions that they got a no to for everyone because he knew his competitive landscape and he
Yep.
knew what he offered. And so that gave him the competitive edge. So that's the story I kind of wanted to tell in this because it made such a huge impact on his business development efforts and gaining that competitive edge.
That's a fantastic story, and I think it's easily adaptable to any type of business that's out there, just period. And before we wrap things up, I do want to just share really quick about how you can use generative AI or Chat GPT, whatever, to help you in this, because it can analyze competitive landscapes that we're all in, but it can identify and emphasize your unique selling points in your content. So you feed all this stuff to it. You then ask it to analyze the competitive landscape in whatever industry that you're in, and it will give you output in whatever form that you want it so that it emphasizes your unique selling points, and basically it does exactly what Brynne just said. You're just taking it to Chat GPT. Plus, every once in a while, like Brynne said earlier with a conversation that she had with Chat GPT, sometimes Chat GPT can actually surface things that you're not thinking about but that you can actually use too. So I mean, it's becoming more and more of a valuable tool in sales, and especially when it comes to content, but even just in coming up with strategies and things like that too. So obviously we're an AI shop now, as along with everything else that we do, so we talk a lot about AI here. That's a really, really good way that you can bring AI into not only the content development, but you could obviously use this just in your that type of thing in your general sales as well.
So this is our competitive edge piece of content. If you're going to work with a LinkedIn training company, make sure you're learning AI at the same time to optimize that outreach. So then I don't know how, if they're shopping, that gives us a competitive edge. I just
It
thought
certainly does. It certainly does. And so we're going to wrap up that conversation on a very, very high note for us, at least. But, obviously anyone can do this with their own companies as well. Use your own experiences, use Chat GPT, use them in combination to really punch up your message so that you stand apart, and that you really show your competitive edge when it comes to those conversations, and even before you're having the conversations as well.
Awesome.
So thanks again for joining us on Making Sales Social Live. If you're with us live here on LinkedIn, as well as YouTube, Facebook, or X/Twitter right now, we do this every week. So keep an eye out for our live sessions. If you're listening to us on our podcast and you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe or follow button and ring the bell or whatever the heck it is you need to do on your platform so that you'll be alerted to all of our previous shows and be alerted when new ones drop. We do 2 shows weekly. We do this one and our Making Sales Social interview series where we talk with leaders and experts in sales, marketing, business, and many more areas. So when you are out and about this week and any week, make sure that you are making your sales
social.